The observation dome of the Galactic Academy floated serenely above the violet clouds of Zenther 9, its crystalline walls reflecting the light of 3 distant suns. Inside, 47 students from across the known galaxy sat in perfectly ranged rows, their varied forms scales, chitin, plasma fields, and flesh representing the diversity of civilization itself. Browna sat near the back, her human frame seeming almost plain compared to the exotic biology surrounding her. Her dark eyes scanned the tactical hologram hovering at the center of the room, where Professor Kelvoth, a towering mantis-like Vexalian, was demonstrating standard fleet formations. The Crindle phalanx, Kelvoth clicked, his mandibles moving in the universal rhythm of instruction, has remained undefeated for 3,000 cycles. Observe the precision, the mathematical perfection. The lights died. Emergency sirens wailed through the darkness, bathing everything in crimson pulses. The hologram flickered and died, replaced by something far more sinister, a real-time tactical display, showing 12 Crindle warships descending on the Academy itself. This is not a drill. Kelvoth's translator crackled with static interference. The Crindle Collective has declared this sector contested territory. All students proceed to. An explosion rocked the dome. Through the transparent walls, students watched in horror as defensive satellites burst into silent flowers of flame. The Crindle ships, sleek and predatory, moved with mechanical precision toward the station. Princeton, a human boy with sandy hair seated 2 rows ahead of Browna, jumped to his feet. "We have to get to the escape pods." Chaos erupted. Students of a dozen species scrambled for the exits, their universal translators creating a cacophony of panic in overlapping languages. But Browna remained seated, her eyes fixed on the tactical display, her mind racing. The Crindle phalanx, undefeated for 3,000 years, perfect, mathematical, predictable. "Everyone, stop." Browna's voice cut through the panic with unexpected authority. The fleeing students paused, turning toward the small human girl who had barely spoken during the entire semester. "The escape pods are a death trap," she said, standing slowly. "Look at their formation." She pointed to the display. "They've positioned 3 ships in a perfect triangle around the pod bay. Anyone who launches will be caught in overlapping fire zones." A Glorian student, its crystalline body shimmering with fear, pulsed a question through its translator. "Then we are already dead?" "No," Browna said, moving toward the professor's console. "We're going to do something they won't expect." Kelvoth's compound eyes focused on her. "Young human, what could students possibly, sir, with respect? The Crindle have been fighting the same enemies for millennia. Enemies who think like them, who value the same mathematical precision." She was already accessing the Academy's defense grid, her fingers flying across holographic controls. "They've never fought humans. They don't know how we think." Princeton moved beside her. "Browna, what are you planning?" "Chaos," she said simply. "The Crindle phalanx depends on predictable responses. They position themselves based on probability matrices, optimal firing solutions, expected retreat vectors." Her eyes gleamed. "So we're going to be completely, absolutely unpredictable." She pulled up the Academy's systems, not weapons, which were minimal, but everything else. Environmental controls, waste disposal, research labs, even the cafeteria systems. "Princeton, I need you to override the safety protocols on the biology labs. Release every specimen, every experimental organism, everything." She turned to a Vexalian student. "Crix, access the reactor and start venting plasma in random bursts, not explosions. Just venting. Make it look like system failures." "That is madness," Kelvoth protested. "Random actions against a superior force isn't madness, Professor. It's human." Browna's voice carried steel now. "We evolved as persistence hunters on a death world. We didn't survive by being stronger or faster. We survived by being unpredictable, by adapting, by doing things our prey never expected." The students looked at each other, then began moving. Something in Browna's certainty was infectious. Within minutes, the Academy became a storm of chaos. Experimental biosamples flooded the corridors, harmless but bizarre creatures that confused Crindle sensors. Plasma vented in random directions, creating false energy signatures. Browna activated the station's rotating sections at irregular intervals, making the Academy's orientation impossible to predict. Then she accessed the communication array. "Now," she said, "we broadcast on every frequency simultaneously. Music, math equations, poetry, random noise, everything at once." The Crindle fleet, accustomed to tactical silence or formal communications, suddenly faced an incomprehensible wall of data. Their targeting computers, designed to predict and calculate, struggled to process the chaos. "They're adjusting formation," Princeton reported, watching the display. "Moving to compensate for our whatever this is." "Good," Browna smiled. "Now we hit them with pattern." She suddenly shut down every random emission, restored standard operations, and launched 3 escape pods in perfect textbook formation, exactly what the Crindle expected. The alien warships moved with mathematical precision to intercept, their formation shifting to create the optimal firing solution for the predicted escape route. "Now," Browna whispered. She fired the Academy's mining lasers, weak weapons designed for asteroid collection, not at the ships, but at the station's own waste disposal units. Frozen waste and debris exploded outward in an uncontrolled sphere, expanding rapidly between the Crindle ships and their targets. Blinded by the debris field, the Crindle fleet hesitated for exactly 2.3 seconds, the first time in recorded history. A phalanx formation had paused. In that pause, Browna launched every remaining escape pod simultaneously, not in formation but in completely random vectors, at random speeds, with random energy signatures. Some even flew toward the Crindle ships before veering away at the last second. The Crindle targeting computers, trained on 3,000 years of logical tactical responses, simply couldn't process it. Which targets were decoys? Which were real? What was the pattern? Where was the logic? There was none. That was the point. By the time the Crindle fleet recalculated their approach, every student had escaped into the debris field, scattering across 1,000 different trajectories. The perfect mathematical formation of the phalanx, designed to counter every logical response, found itself unable to counter a logic. Hours later, when the Galactic Defense Force arrived, they found the Crindle fleet still hovering near the abandoned Academy, their formation broken, their ships repositioning constantly, searching for a pattern that didn't exist, and scattered across the sector. 47 escape pods drifted safely, each carrying students who had learned that day that sometimes the best tactics are the ones nobody has ever seen before. Professor Kelvoth, floating in his pod beside Browna and Princeton, clicked thoughtfully. "Humans," he said, "are going to change warfare forever." Browna smiled out at the stars. "We already have, Professor. The universe just didn't know it yet."